Hello and welcome. You're tuned into Eye on Africa. I'm Rochelle Ferguson-Biahi. These are the top stories. Security is tight in Nigeria as the country makes final preparations on the eve of presidential elections, with ballot boxes and voting equipment distributed to polling stations across the country. Rescuers in Zimbabwe say they fear the worst for 60 illegal gold miners after water flooded two disused shafts in the mining town of Kadoma, southwest of the capital, Harare. Also coming up in the programme, we take you to DR Congo's eastern city of Goma for the annual music festival Amani. The event is one organisers hope will break down barriers in the troubled region. We begin in Africa's largest democracy, Nigeria, where nationwide security has been beefed up on the eve of Saturday's presidential and legislative elections. Voting officials have been transporting ballot boxes and equipment to polling stations across the country, where some 84 million people are registered to vote. That's up 18% on 2015. Well, just over half of registered voters are aged between 18 and 35. Nigeria, which is Africa's largest economy, is dealing with pockets of instability and a series of social concerns which voters hope will be addressed.
The essence of this gathering is to ensure free, fair and credible election tomorrow. Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, we have deployed over 5,000 personnel with traditional 1,000 men from our national headquarters to make sure we achieve our aim.
Now in Zimbabwe, rescuers say they fear the worst for 60 illegal gold miners after water flooded two disused shafts near the mining town of Kadoma on Thursday. Emergency teams have been trying to extract water using pumps as they search for survivors and bodies at the site. A local government spokesman says that President Emerson Mnangagwa has declared a state of disaster. France 24's Shirley Sitbourne has more.
The hope of saving the miners trapped near Kadoma vanished hours after the accident. Tuesday, the victims entered these holes in the ground, hoping to find gold. They slid some 100 meters deep, acting at night so they wouldn't be seen by the mine's owners. That's when sudden heavy rains flooded the area, tearing down a dam.
The underground tunnels were flooded. Water, quite a huge amount of water came from the top and flooded into the shafts, and so doing it trapped a lot of our brothers and sisters down there.
Their friends have tried to pull them out. They pumped water from the shaft, with families hoping for a miracle.
We got a call after we couldn't find my sister's son, and we were told that he was among the people who had entered the mine.
The problem of illegal mining is widespread in Zimbabwe. Thousands endanger their lives because they have no other source of income.
This is our land. And again, we are going to go back into the mine again, to mine again, because that's what we are relying upon. Because no jobs in Zimbabwe.
The precious metal they produce represents a significant share of Zimbabwe's output, which hit a record 33 tons last year.
Authorities in South Africa have provisionally withdrawn an arrest warrant for A.J. Gupta, a businessman and friend of ex-President Jacob Zuma. A minister accused Gupta of offering him a large bribe in return for help with the Gupta family's business ventures. The minister claimed the offer of a bribe was made in front of Duduzane Zuma, Jacob Zuma's son. After provisional charges were withdrawn against Zuma's son back in January, police said they were obliged to cancel the warrant against Gupta. Now, each year, malaria claims the lives of some 450,000 people worldwide. In Ghana's rural central region of Bouassi, mosquitoes have become resistant to the chemicals used for decades to fight the spread of the disease. Ghana, though, is the first African country to introduce the large-scale use of a breakthrough new insecticide. France 24's Thais Brook reports from Bouassi with Emmanuel Londe.
In the village of Domeabra, the children are healthy, seemingly free of the many effects of malaria, an illness the locals say will soon be just a bad memory. This worker for the NGO Agamal is awaited like a saviour to the village. In his tank, a new kind of long-lasting insecticide.
Before our village was sprayed with this insecticide, we had countless cases of malaria. Adults had to go to the hospital ravaged by fever, and the children would suffer convulsions.
In 2017, the malaria parasite infected almost 5 million people in Ghana, leading to 600 deaths. The country decided to authorize the trial of a new third-generation insecticide. Every square inch of the home has to be sprayed with the product, which remains effective for 9 months. In this hospital, doctors are already seeing the positive effects of the new insecticide.
Initially, the world can be full of just malaria cases. But since the inception of the malaria control program, the numbers have decreased drastically. For instance, for today, we only have 1 malaria case on the ward.
The number of patients admitted with malaria has dropped from several thousand a month to just a few dozen. In this laboratory, researchers are studying insect resistance to insecticides. If a single mosquito survives the chemical treatment, it can develop resistance that will be passed on to future generations.
If we have not had the third generation insecticide, more resistance would have been built by the vector, the mosquitoes.
This program is managed by Anglo Gold Ashanti, owner of Obuasi's gold mine. The initiative is not entirely altruistic. It also helps reduce employee absences.
And we end in the DR Congo's eastern city of Goma, which is currently holding its annual music festival called Amani. Now, the name means peace in Swahili, and organisers are hoping to promote just that by breaking down barriers in the troubled region. In Goma, in particular, mistrust between civilians and the army runs deep. Rania Harrington explains.
In streets which usually swing to rumba, the French band Mortal Combo have brought a new sound. And when they take to the festival stage, the band will also have some new members. They've spent 2 weeks in Goma training Congolese musicians to play brass instruments. With a mixed group of civilians playing alongside members of the police and the military, some had their reservations at first.
It's really amazing that we can spend more than 2 or 3 days alongside the police and military. It's amazing, and without fighting with each other, without having any problems. It's so surprising. Personally, I'm afraid of these people. I'm really afraid of them. But here they've proved me wrong. I said to myself, they're not all bad.
The French trainers visiting the DRC for the first time have seen a sense of trust begin to emerge during the workshop.
At lunchtime, you had the military eating alongside civilians, police eating next to others. I think that's a sign. At the beginning, it was almost corporate, military with military, police with police, civilians with civilians. Now I think there's much more of a mix.
Many members of the police and army in this region have fought wars and rebellions for years, some of them against their own people. But they say, after making war, you must know how to make peace.
Everywhere in the world, after a war, you have to call all of the people. You have to be united. People have to sing and dance to show that we are united.
On the festival stage, the army and police will play in uniform alongside civilians for the first time, a symbolic gesture for the people of Goma.
You're very much up to date. Your Iron Africa team is back in about 45 minutes' time. Up next, though, we'll have more international headlines. Nadia Massi is here. You're watching France 24. Stay tuned.
Every day, 300 people take to the road for a life of exile in the United States, reluctantly leaving behind a country that is becoming increasingly poor. The rivers of Honduras are disappearing, its soil is drying up and its crops are failing. Escape is no longer a choice but a matter of survival in the face of violence, poverty, and corruption. France 24's reporters have followed the migrants in their last-ditch quest for a better life.
Reporters Plus, presented by Mark Owen on France 24 and France24.com.
Here at France 24, we're taking a broad outlook by talking about the women who are reshaping our world.
En France 24 en español no tenemos temas vedados. Y eso se puede ver en televisión y en todas las plataformas que tenemos en Internet.
في فرانس 24 لا ننسى ونحجز لكم أسبوعيا تذكرة عودة للمدن والمناطق التي كانت في قلب الأحداث قبل أن تدخل في طي النسيان.
France 24, c'est la recherche permanente des meilleurs spécialistes pour vous permettre de déchiffrer l'actualité. Claro que tiene algo especial. Somos todos de distintos países y trabajamos con todo el corazón para entregar información en el momento preciso.
أخبار سياسية واقتصادية وثقافية وأيضا رياضية بأعين خبراء رياضيين. هذه هي قناة France 24.